Oi, oi, all right, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you. This is the Doodle Review coming through with a new album to give a spin, chat some fraff about, and then assign an arbitrary score to today. We're returning once again to the world of Childish Gambino, taking a look at Bando Stone and the New World. So I already gave, like, I think a pretty decent background on Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover, in my deep dive on Atavista, his first 2024 release. So I won't repeat myself. Instead, if you're interested, you can find that video linked in the description below. Bando Stone is the fifth and apparently final Childish Gambino album announced earlier this year alongside his reissue of the 2020 Project 31520, now dubbed Atavista. Supposedly, the record also doubles as the soundtrack for a high concept movie of the same name, revolving around the character of Bando Stone, who we follow as he navigates a post apocalyptic wasteland. There is a trailer for the movie and plenty of dialogue snippets scattered throughout the album, but as yet, the film has no release date. While my gut says we probably will see this sci fi epic drop at some point soon, probably as a surprise release, right now the presentation is giving me similar vibes to the most recent 21 Savage album released way back in January. That record was also promoted as a soundtrack to a movie, supposedly a biopic of the British born Atlanta rapper. But in the weeks after the album came out, it was revealed that the trailer was about as much of the movie we'd ever see because the movie just didn't actually exist. Now, Glover has a fairly decent track record of making good on his creative promises, and it really isn't a far-fetched idea to see him direct and star in a movie, considering just how deeply entrenched he is in the medium of visual storytelling. We'll just have to wait and see if it happens, I guess. As an album, much like Atavista, I'm afraid Bando Stone suffers from overthinking on the part of its creator. Neither records are bad by any means, but Atavista got in its own way by overcorrecting and overdeveloping its baby brother record 31520. And similarly, Bando suffers from stretching the massive weight of its concept over too many ideas. So much of how a record's received is based on audience perception in addition to the actual music presented. It's kind of dumb, but ultimately it's true. The perception is shaped by, the context of the world the record is released into, plus the additional expectations placed upon it by whatever information the artist feels they need to give us ahead of its release. This is why there's so many examples of albums, even movies, shows, books, name your creative format, that take years to be appreciated, because in some instances the project just needs time to escape the context and perception around its release to be seen for what it really is. Only time will tell if Bando Stone falls into that category, but right now I can't help but let all of the extra textual things I know about the record kind of inform my opinion of it. As I mentioned up top, Glover announced this record as the final Gambino album, which, given he's an artist who thinks so intently about his work, automatically creates an expectation that this is going to be a deep one. If it's the closing chapter, it's got to be, pretty a bold artistic statement, right? And then alongside that, we also find out that this is not only the final album, but the soundtrack to a movie, which, according to, good old Wikipedia, features Glover taking on the role of Bando Stone, a singer stumbling into a post-apocalyptic world before teaming up with a woman and her son to fight prehistoric creatures and try to escape from an unexplained phenomenon that seems to delete chunks of the world. Okay, so it's this deep closing chapter of the Gambino saga that's also a concept album tying into the story of a character called Bando Stone and his journey through basically the end of the world. I guess it's suitably epic, but already this feels like a lot for the record to be doing and to live up to. And in one sense, the record is epic. It's long, across 17 tracks. It's a full hour of music, but it doesn't really feel epic in the sense that it's the soundtrack to an end of the world movie, nor does it sound epic in the way that you might think an artist's final album might be. Instead, it's a meandering, stylistically eclectic LP that, while definitely has lyrical themes throughout, doesn't feel super focused or really relevant in any way to its supposed companion movie. It's the dialogue snippets that tie things to the film, yet these are the most annoying aspect of the record, and the project would 100% benefit from these not being included. On a mission to explore anything other than the story that's being alluded to by these intrusive scripted snippets, Bando Stone The record covers everything from hedonism to tales of an adulterous relationship to Glover's favorite vacation spot, while also including a straight up diss track directed at Drake. Some of the songs included within that selection I just pointed out are actually fantastic. I guess my point is that there's just a lot of meandering tangents for, again, this record that's supposed to be this, final artistic vision. Added to the muddle of it all is the musical direction, because it's literally all over the place. Glover's always been an eclectic artist, but this touches on rap, R&B, some rock, a couple of touches of jazz, and some massive pop moments too, all on different songs. These aren't genre fusions, it's like a playlist on random, curated by Childish Gambino. So as an album experience, I think this is a little unfocused and messy, but that doesn't mean though that the songs in and of themselves aren't great. There are a bunch here I have found myself going back to a lot. Got to Be is memorable, of course, for its sampling of the killer Prodigy tune Breathe. It's a great choice, sampled brilliantly and just goes hard. What has struck me though over the weeks and months since this record dropped is just how often I actually find myself coming back to and singing the melodic hook that opens the track. The main section is obviously the draw, it's the fun, but that opening and the interlude is the core and is what elevates the track over the standard sample drop. It's Glover at his most Kanye-esque, Bowie-esque, mastermind curator best. He just knows how to take something already great and then spin it enough to produce something new and exciting. Steps Beach is another earworm that burrows its way into your psyche through pure melodic composition. His vocals glide effortlessly over a mellow acoustic progression, and subtle bass and synth leads follow. No Excuses is a late album highlight that guest stars Kamasi Washington, of all people, providing an amazing jazz feel over the top of a shuffling dancehall beat. The way this track actually turns from an easy breezy light track to one that's intense with a touch of darkness is amazing, and would have actually made for, I think, a great climax to the record had it been sequenced a little bit later. While the album doesn't feel at all centered around the movie it's tied to, one theme does emerge sporadically, and that is one of fatherhood. Lyrically and emotionally, this comes up time and again on the record, and in an alternate reality, the final Childish Gambino record would ditch any attempt to be a cinematic experience and hone in on this personal story of growth, love, and legacy. We get two perspectives of parenthood on the album. The first being Real Love, probably the biggest pop moment on the entire album. This track talks about being a dad on super deep, profound terms, that the love Glover receives from his kids is the purest expression of that emotional concept. Then on the other side, we have Dadvocate, which paints a much more grounded vision of life as a parent, talking about shouting from the other room and lounging at home. Interspersed between these is Can You Feel Me, that features legend Glover's actual son rapping a fun verse that trades lines with his father around kind of similar themes. To me, this is the core of the LP, and the whole final Gambino experience would have been elevated with this as the focus, ditching tracks like Yoshinoya and Cruisin' that are weak points, and even potentially if you wanted to be bold, leaving off songs like Got to Be because they feel like a diversion. Although my hope is that song would eventually, find its way out into another project, because it is undoubtedly a banger. Overall, Bando Stone though is a bit of a jumbled mess, which is magnified by the expectation and perception of the movie tie-in and the whole final album shtick. But at the same time, it's got some unquestionably good songs and it's got a great heart at the center. On that basis, I'm going to give it a 6.9 and knock it on the head. Just get the hell out of here, but I'd love to hear what you think. If you're a Gambino fan, what are you saying? How do you feel about this being the final Gambino album? Let me know in the comments. Look in the description for similar reviews, not just of Gambino, but of Tyler, the Creator, other people like that. And if you can be asked to do all that, you may as well subscribe, stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just host some abuse in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. All right, mate. Take care. My ego. Cheers then. Bye.